How do you imagine a perfect vacation? Probably it's about staying in a fashionable and cozy hotel, sunbathing lying on the white sand and drinking fresh cocktails. But can you imagine people who give up an idea of such holidays? It's more preferable for them to visit places notorious for their bad reputation. Specifically, they're regarded as the scariest places in the world. These places aren't usually recommended for visiting, nevertheless, there are still crowds of people desiring to see them with own eyes. So, today lucky you'll take part in the online tour of the most terrifying places of the earth and, what's more, you won't have to risk your life. Let's dive into this. Snake Island, São Paulo, Brazil. Practically all people love animals, but the same can't be said towards snakes. They are considered to be one of the most scariest and dangerous animals as well. If you're among the majority, you should never visit Snake Island. But if you even wanted to do it, it would be impossible, as the Brazilian government bans the public from ever setting foot on the island. But why does it happen so? The main reason is that there's an insanely high density of golden lancehead vipers. According to the reports, averagely 1 to 5 snakes inhabit 1 square meter. When sea levels rose some 11,000 years ago and separated Snake Island from mainland Brazil, the newly isolated snakes became hyper-evolved and hyper-terrifying to adapt to their changing environment. Without any ground-level prey on the island, the snakes learned to hunt in the treetops and strike at birds right from air. The other difference between lancehead vipers and their relatives from the continent is that their venom is 5 times stronger. Consequently, they're capable of killing their prey instantly, as well as melting human flesh. Pripyat, Ukraine. Have you ever heard about Chernobyl? The city was established in 1970 and had reached a population of nearly 50,000 by the time it was entirely evacuated after the Chernobyl disaster in 1986. The main reason of the catastrophe was the mistake of the service staff. The point is that during the planned decrease of reactor power in preparation for the electrical test, the power unexpectedly dropped to a near-zero level. The operators were able to only partially restore the specified test power, which put the reactor in a potentially unstable condition. This risk was not made evident in the operating instructions, so the operators proceeded with the electrical test. Upon test completion, the operators triggered a reactor shutdown, but a combination of unstable conditions and reactor design flaws caused an uncontrolled nuclear chain reaction instead. Pripyat has remained an uninhabited city since the evacuation, although the buildings, furniture, and all other signs of life are exactly where its former citizens left them. Weathered books can be found in classrooms, decaying dolls lie abandoned in cribs, and photographs are still in their original frames. The most famous landmark is the Pripyat Amusement Park's Ferris wheel, a skeletal reminder of what used to be. Nevertheless, it's a mistake to think that this place is forbidden for visiting. Ukraine's government has recently announced that the site will become an official tourist attraction. No wonder it made such a decision, as HBO's Chernobyl series turned out to be spectacularly successful all over the world. Christ of the Abyss, San Fruttuoso, Italy. Although there are several versions of the same Jesus statue scattered around the ocean floor, including Key Largo, pictured, the original version is located in the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of San Fruttuoso, and you need to take a 55-foot dive down to see Jesus firsthand. Surprisingly, the idea of creating this monument belongs not to a sculptor, but to the Italian diver Duilio Marchand. The whole history is indeed tragic. In 1954, Marchand wanted to place some sort of memorial at the exact spot where his friend Dario Gonzatti died, while diving a few years prior. And, thus, Christ of the Abyss was born. The monument seems to be rather spooky, especially due to the deity's outreached arms and eyes casting upward, to the skies. The algae and corrosion only add to the effect. Finally, the statue was removed from its watery home in 2003 for some much-needed restoration, because one of the monument's hands had been broken off by the anchor. Taylor Glacier, Antarctica. Taylor Glacier, or in the other words, Blood Falls, is one of the mysteries that scientists had to study in Antarctica. Such an extraordinary calling can be explained by the fact that the waterfall has an unusual blood-red color. The source of the unique fall is the small lake, which is located under the 4-meter-thick ice. Surprisingly, this natural wonder can be seen the whole year round, as the waterfall is flowing even during severe frosts. The first thing that the scientists suggested, seeing the phenomenon that such a blood-red color of the water is determined by the presence of red algae. However, during the closer study, this hypothesis was not confirmed. The further study of the source surprised scientists to some extent. It turned out that the chemical analysis of water revealed the content of iron there. Also, after sampling, living organisms were found in the water. The main reason for all of it is that the lake and the waterfall are somehow imprisoned under the huge ball of ice. It resulted in the fact that living organisms are deprived of normal conditions for the development of life. In any extreme conditions, all living beings try to find a way out and save their lives. The same can be said towards microorganisms inhabiting Antarctica. Thus, they have adapted to use the environmental organics and learn to breathe iron. As for blood falls, bacteria's waste products contribute to the change of water's color and it becomes blood red. Besides, this water doesn't freeze at all because of its salt saturation. Beelitz-Heilstätten Hospital, Germany. Are you the fan of American Horror Story? If yes, then this place is perfect for your future trip. Between 1898 and 1930, the Beelitz-Heilstätten complex served as a tuberculosis sanatorium. It also housed mustard gas and machine gun victims during World War I, including a young soldier named Adolf Hitler, who had been wounded in the leg. The hospital later went on to be a major treatment center for Nazi soldiers during World War II, and it was used as a Soviet military hospital from 1945 until the fall of the Berlin Wall. The remainder of the complex, including the surgery, the psychiatric ward, and a rifle range, was abandoned in 1994. Some sections of the hospital remain in operation as a neurological rehabilitation center and as a center for research and care for victims of Parkinson's disease. As of 2007, none of the abandoned hospital buildings or the surrounding area were secured, giving the area the feel of a ghost town and freedom to vandalism. This has made Beelitz-Heilstätten a destination for curious visitors. Also, the site was in use as a film set for movies like The Pianist from 2002 and Valkyrie from 2008 and the Rammstein music video Mein Herz brennt. Island of the Dolls, Xochimilco, Mexico. Despite its history and status as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Xochimilco is primarily known for its Isla de los Muñecos, or Island of the Dolls. Hidden among the plenty of canals, the tiny island is famous for the hundreds of dolls and doll parts, hanging from trees and scattered among the grass. Although this palace looks more like a horror movie set than anything else, it used to be a home to now deceased Julian Santa Barrera. After finding a dead girl's body in the nearby canal, Barrera collected and displayed the toys in the hopes of warding off evil spirits. Adventurous tourists, desiring to visit this island, can hire their own boat, try to convince the driver to pay it a visit, and view it safely from the water. Hill of Crosses, Šiauliai, Lithuania. More than 100,000 crucifixes and other religious icons cover a hill outside the city of Šiauliai in northern Lithuania. The exact origins of the Hill of Crosses remain a mystery. Just outside the northern city of Šiauliai, thousands of metal and wooden crosses, placed here for nearly 2 centuries, have found a home on the growing mound. People have been placing crosses, icons of saints and photographs of revered local patriots there. Despite many attempts to destroy this object, this unusual pilgrimage site remains as a powerful testament to devotion. Legends and fables color the history of the Hill of Crosses. First mention in writing dates to 1850, but some think the crosses appeared earlier, left by mourning relatives of the victims of revolts against the Russian regime in 1831, and later in 1863. The Tsar suppressed national identity by limiting religious expression, so families were forbidden to honor the dead with proper burial in cemeteries. Many believe the crosses cropped up at the end of the 19th century, after an apparition of the Virgin Mary holding baby Jesus and asking the believers to cover the holy place with these icons. The tradition of carving religious icons has been handed down through generations. UNESCO recognizes cross-making as intangible cultural heritage of Lithuania, a symbol of national and religious identity, uniting the community in the face of adversity. During the Soviet era, religion remained banned, as well as the Hill of Crosses. In April 1961 the entire site was bulldozed and burned down by the authorities. Even though the Hill of Crosses was destroyed 4 more times, each time locals risked political danger by rebuilding the site under the cover of darkness. Nagoro, Japan. Have you ever seen cities which population comprises more dolls than humans? Probably, no. But if you want to see one, you should go to Nagoro. Nagoro is the tiny Japanese village with one very notable feature, a life-size doll population that outnumbers the human population nearly 10 to 1. The toy residents are the work of a local, named Xochimilco. She began making doll replicas of her neighbors, after they died or moved away. They can be seen throughout the whole village, posing variously. For example, there are fishermen sitting on the riverbank, students filling entire classrooms, elderly couples resting on benches outside of buildings. All in all, the village comprises around 350 dolls and only 27 alive humans. Veijo Rönkkönen Sculpture Garden, Parikkala, Finland. Veijo Rönkkönen was one of the most famous contemporary folk artists in Finland during his lifetime. This man was a true recluse, which influenced his future career. For instance, he refused to showcase his pieces in public spaces. Instead, he built his collection of nearly 500 concrete figures in his backyard, forming his own personal sculpture garden in the process. The most impressive complex of monuments consists of a group of around 200 statues arranged in a great variety of yoga poses. Undoubtedly, watching these statues makes everyone feel anxiety because of unnatural poses of figures and spooky expressions on their faces. Aokigahara Forest, Yamanashi Prefecture, Japan. Just imagine yourself trees, streams, lush vegetation, and a variety of animals such as deer, bears, and foxes, briefly speaking, one of Japan's most beautiful natural areas. Unfortunately, such an ideal image is poisoned by the plenty of suicides occurring there annually. Aokigahara Forest is mostly known as the suicide forest, because thousands of desperate individuals have taken their own lives there. It is a heavily wooded area with rocky crags and caves. Here is why not all victims are found. At one time, reports estimated that over 100 people would go to the Japanese suicide forest each year to end their lives. In 2003 more than 100 people committed suicide there. In 2010 over 200 went to the forest to end life, and 54 of those succeeded. As one of Japan's suicide prevention measures, the government stopped publishing the number of deaths, which hopefully have fallen dramatically. Notably, Mount Fuji is the place of worship for Japanese, and it's situated not far from Aokigahara Forest. No wonder it seems as the perfect place to die for people. Here's the end of the show. Do you still want to visit the scariest places in the world? If you're still brave enough to deal with that, you should always remember about the risks of such trips and always stay careful and calm. Don't forget to like this video and write comments about the other places, which make your heart go right through the feet. See you in the next video.